Lancelot Odua Imasuen was born on the 21st of July 1971 in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. He is a filmmaker with over 20 years of quality movie productions. He has to his credit movies like The Soul That Sinneth, Yesterday, Private Scene, Enslaved, Moment of Truth, Games Men Play, Yahoo Millionaire, Invasion 1897, among others. His films feature unexplored aspects of the African experience, including tribalism, witchcraft, crime, poverty, religion, and folk beliefs. He is my guest on the Just Steve Show, where he talks about his life and the Nollywood industry. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Just Steve Show, and today my guest on the show is one of Nigeria's foremost filmmakers, and that is in the person of Lancelot Odua Imasuen. Lancelot, good to have you on the show after a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Wesley.
You know, I've known Lancelot for over 20 years, and I've been privileged and honored to be part of his journey. But let's really go back to the beginning. Who is Lancelot Imasuen? What were your growing up years like, and how did you get into this business?
Well, Lancelot.
What's the
Lancelot is, I think I like the question. I don't know how many people I can actually say, but this is who I am, you know that. Well, Lancelot is what Evelyn has seen of Lancelot. Was born when the children of my age grade were born.
No, wasn't the way you were born.
Then I attended, I was born in Benin. Attended primary school. I was not an Ajabota, so I didn't have the privilege of attending nursery school. So, not even Otakara.
So it's only Ajabotas that attend nursery school?
Oh, it was some kind of luxury then, if you know what I mean. Then, left primary school, got into secondary school, Wosa Grammar School.
No wonder. Yeah, Wosa.
That brings back a lot of great feelings at Wosa Grammar School, where this whole journey actually began, and New Benin Baptist Church, where I got honored as somebody who loves the art. And from then on, it was discovered why in school that, this was going to be a line for me, even though I'd always wanted to be a lawyer. I was very inclined artistically.
This you're wanting to be a lawyer, is that you or your parents?
Me.
That's strange,
yeah.
because most of
my parents didn't actually. There was no holders for do this or do that.
Okay.
That was the very peculiar part of me that I'll need to explain in a book that is coming very soon, which I want to use to mark my 20 years behind the camera as a filmmaker, as a Nollywood filmmaker. Everything about my life has been my decision.
You're lucky.
Yeah, been my decision. And probably there was a reason for that. That will explain when we get to that. Then my journey in the arts too came very, very early. Like I said, primary school, secondary school, Wosa Grammar School was very, very instrumental to my desire to now be an artist first and foremost. Because as at that time, you wouldn't just wake up and say, okay, I want to be a film director, I want to be a producer, I want to be, no. I'm not sure it was some kind of an interesting enterprise in that time to say, hey, hi boy, what do you want to do? Say, hey, I want to be an actor, I want to be an actress. No, it wasn't possible. But I haven't failed to grab my chance of becoming a lawyer. When I mean failed now, it was because I was not intelligent enough. But when I was leaving secondary school, my school result was seized, the WAEC result was seized.
Why? Because there was XXX.
Where the whole school result was cancelled. Usa Grammar School. Because there was a major incident when we wrote our WAEC, and those of us too who hadn't the opportunity or the privilege to have enrolled as external or what's it called, GC and all that, depended on what we're going to get from our WAEC. I mean, we studied. I really studied, and I was hoping for a very great result. But unfortunately, that year, the entire school West African examination exam was cancelled. That, I think that's what actually redirected me. So for 2 years I was just trying to get myself back, and when I was, for that 2 years, I found myself headlong into the arts. But you did go to University of Port Harcourt. Yeah, that would have been, after, for that 2 years, it knew me. But for me then, art was just some talent that was inborn. I could go practice what I want to practice, and once in a while come do this. But when that misfortune came, that became a fortune for me, I had to stay back for 2 years. When I was coming back, the opportunity to enter into the University of Port Harcourt had opened up, and the need to study theatre arts had come up. Then there was a friend of mine who was a lawyer that told me that how can you want to be a lawyer and they also be practicing art? That's not going to be possible. So I had to choose which one you wanted. Which one I wanted. As at that time, looking back at what I had achieved as an artist, I said, okay, let me just go and do this. Little did I know that it was going to be big doing this, that our generation was going to change and present what we now have today. And it really that entertainment was going to become a big business. That today, parents will say, hey, this my daughter says she wants to act. This my son wants to act. Then, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there's no father, no mother in Africa that will come up to say, hey, my son is interested. You're not talking of a woman. So today you see fathers, mothers, to call it, oh, my daughter is 16 years old. She said she wants to act. So I give God the glory that it was our time, our generation that remodeled, that represented, that given light to this beautiful business called entertainment. Okay, now we've gotten this far. How did you worked in Lagos, and you did you worked a bit with NTA. How did you now get into your first film that you ever directed? Okay, as for directing for television, then film. Television first was with what's it called? Evangel Theatre. Evangel Theatre in Bender then. Bender State was broadcast on Bender Broadcasting Service. Yeah. It was quite a popular program. I was called up to direct that work on television. Having achieved that, going back to school, leaving school, coming to Lagos, of course I joined NTA as a contract staff, the production assistant for working for the likes of the late Lebeni Elebuwa, Sadiq Daba, Chris Obirapu, Damla Dibako, and of course the person today I refer to as my main organ, Last Equavant, who did prophesy then that hey man, you're going to be one of the greatest this climb will produce. But well, apart from the prophecy, what do you think it was that he saw in you that, you know, made him say such? I remember that vividly. I was working with him on the set of Memorial Hospital. Our camp, that. Our camp was at Badagry, and I was a PA, a production assistant. And I'll tell you something, before I got into Lagos, I was already a full-fledged director. But when I got into Lagos and I saw that the standard was bigger than what we were operating in Benin, I needed to now come down to okay, only just a production assistant, which was something, I didn't know what prompted me to do that, but I was humble enough to say, okay, I know I was already having a tag of one of the most popular program on television in Bende then, which was Evangel Theatre. Getting to Lagos and we're working, and that's the same passion I carried into working with Lancelot on the set of Memorial Hospital. So one, I give my life to whatever that it is that I choose to do. He saw the commitment, he saw the discipline, and one particular evening after filming, I Memorial Hospital, I was asked to just sleep on the bed as one of the patients, and I got really tired. And I slept off. So we had finished filming, and everybody left me because we were using the same building and same and as camp and same as location too. And daybreak, I found myself I was alone in the set of an hospital bed. And,
you did
the next day, I was scared. I said, "Oh God, I just slept off." He said, "I know. You were really tired, but you worked very hard. Honestly, you have to keep up with this, and if you do if you keep up with this passion, you are going to be one of the very best this climb will ever produce." And I was very excited.
For someone
for him to
such high caliber to give you those
to say that. I took on that word and I head on to it. And before today, he's a very, very proud man, very, very proud of what has transformed.
Okay, your first film that you did, how did that come about? Having worked on television drama, were there any plans that, okay, because then it was called the home video industry, and we all know living in bondage. Did you have any thoughts at that time that you were ever going to do a movie?
For me, no. If I tell you here now that it was calculated, no. I was actually, as part-time too, I was working at NTA as a contract staff. I also used to do some part-time teaching.
Oh,
teaching.
In what?
It was called Jovis Perfection Press. Some guy who equally had vision, but he didn't have the the courage to pursue it. The guy had a private institution for training actors. Then,
I see.
Yes, he had a school where he was training actors, but he was a novice. He didn't know anything about what. But I just felt that the industry needed some kind of training. So because I was fresh from theater school, I got employment by this organization, Jovis. And I was teaching acting and directing. It was my student that connected me to my first home video job. So he came to class someday, and they were always enjoying my class. My syllabus was my syllabus. My lesson note was so robust. Fresh from school, the zeal, the enthusiasm we have learned working with the likes of Columbus, Riswanga, Sam Didi and all that from my school, because where I am from West of Port Harcourt, there you would have had some of the very best that you have worked with. And so a student of mine called me, said, "There's some guy that wants to make a film, but it's an Igbo language film. Can you direct it?" I said, "What are you talking about? Why can't I direct it?" Because then most of the early home videos were directed by staff of NTA.
Privately.
Chris Birapu, Chikao, these were some of the biggest directors then. But they were all NTA. That's why the quality of work you were actually seeing then was, because there was a time, there was this, when the Nollywood thing became an all-comers affair. So a lot of these Nollywood men that had linked with NTA, some of the very best then had this initial link with NTA, and you could see that, and it reflected in their works. Then this boy came to me, "Sir, there's this guy, one friend of mine, who wants to make a film, but it's an Igbo language film. Can you direct it?" "Oh, what? I can." And I said, "Okay, ask the man to come to NTA, Port Harcourt 9. That's where it used to be our office. He should come." And the next day they actually came. They couldn't even enter NTA, they were outside. They came to call me that some persons were looking for me outside. I went outside of the gate, I brought them inside, and the guy was convinced that I was actually in NTA. And that was how we started talking about that project, which now happened to be my first film, titled Adaku. And it was in Igbo language. So that became very amazing to a lot of people, that this guy is Benin, and he directed an Igbo language film. Of course, the likes of the Sheikh Zebejiru also directed an Igbo language film. So it was some sort of novelty for us, and simply directed by Lancelot Imasuen. I wasn't particular about the money, I wasn't particular about, I just wanted to see that dream come true. And as I speak, by June this year, it was 18 years that we had that experience.
Okay. Let's fast forward to your film that won you an award. What was that like, or how did that come about?
Well, for me, or generally, I think the attention started coming from the movie Yesterday. Evelyn was part of Yesterday. She was a co-script writer for Yesterday.
Was I? Really?
Yeah, Yesterday got a lot of acclaim, a lot of acceptance, and Rachel Oniga then was awarded in Nigeria, Real Award, Tema Award, big award. First that the film was nominated, film made by relatively unknown Lancelot at that time. And who is this guy? And we won best actress. That film. For me, it was like a personal award. The hall was jam packed. We ran all over to the stage, and Rachel Oniga was presented with the best actress, and I felt really good. I felt really good because
all the work that you've been doing, someone was watching you.
For us all, and there hardly was there any award then since that time that we didn't get a nomination or winning. So Yesterday actually opened that up for us, for me, for my career. It gave me a lot of international recognition, British Council, a lot of, because it was just some kind of production from, hey, who did this?
The story was and something the theme, was kind of like a taboo at the time, if I remember.
Female genital mutilation. Somebody was talking about it. VVF. Somebody was talking about it. Rape, widowhood rights. Somebody was talking about it, and the way it was presented. Then they used to call it VIF because it was very academic. And, so all the public showing was wow, massive, and funnily, my wife told me that not too long ago that how she was then when she heard about that film Yesterday. People that came to the cinema in Benin, the cultural center, to look at it. So Yesterday for me was just the opener for.
Which gives you the right, if I have to say, to talk about Nollywood, its growth, where it is now, and where we expect that it will be in the next couple of years. So we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, you'll be telling us your thoughts on Nollywood. This is the Just Steve Show. We'll be right back after this.
I said we say all sense of responsibility. The first audition she went to, entering Nollywood, was my auditioning, Wazobia, 1994.
Okay.
Today, she was listed amongst 100 most influential people on earth.
Now that's pretty controversial.
These are the kind of stories I want to tell the world, that they also happen in our place.
You're welcome back to the Just Steve Show. We still have on the program today Lancelot Imasuen, who is one of the foremost filmmakers in the Nollywood industry. Before the break, I was going to ask you, how do you see the Nollywood industry today, over 20 years since it started?
Well, there's a big celebration going on right now in Nollywood. It's called Nollywood at 20. Of course, the federal government of Nigeria has rolled out the green carpet for Nollywood. That was last year. It was quite wonderful. A fund also has been set aside for the industry. Actually, the first time the president of a country of Nigeria was officially recognizing the industry and hosting almost all of the players in the industry in a single evening in a hall at the government house in Lagos. During the electoral campaign of this same president, attention was also given to Nollywood. Of course, very proudly, Omotola Jalade Ekende. I said with all sense of responsibility, the first audition she went to, entering Nollywood, was my auditioning, Wazobia, 1994.
Okay.
Today, she was listed amongst 100 most influential people on earth.
Now that's pretty controversial. I have to come to that because there are a lot of people who are saying what makes her, what is the criteria for her being, among the 100 most influential people in the world. So can you tell me?
I think the question should go to Times International, who in their wisdom, this wasn't some media propaganda.
Wasn't it? Some people say it's a political thing.
Well, the important thing is that a product of Nollywood, a Nigerian.
So Nollywood as a whole is not seeing the broader picture. It's just that they don't care. Somebody from Nollywood has come out.
There's no broader picture. Let's not trivialize this. It is not about the Motola. It's about this industry.
So why okay, if you're saying it's about the industry, how come somebody else wasn't picked? I'm just speaking the minds of asking the questions that my viewers would.
Can I shock you? I didn't know this was a hard talk. But I'm ready.
It's not a hard talk. It's just that it's controversial.
This touches me. I called her. I congratulated her. I've been mobilizing the industry that we must key into things like this. This is the child of our brain, the product of our endeavor, the materialization of our inventive genius. This is our product.
Okay.
This is with us. This is our invention. Okay. And now the world has come to accept this.
Okay, I'm going to come
One
to you.
of us, Omotola Jalade Ekende, was named by Times International as one of the 100 most influential persons on earth. I should celebrate that. It mustn't be Lancelot. Listen, let's get this right as Africans. It must not be Lancelot. It can be any other person. When I read the reason, because I had to research it, I read the reason, it was ascribed to Nollywood.
Okay. Now
when they were hosting them, she sat side by side with Steven Spielberg, who said he has never heard anything about Nollywood. Meanwhile, for the past 10 years, 2003 to date, it was in 2003 that Nollywood got major global attention when Washington Post did a major feature by some Japanese writer who was the correspondent for Washington Post in West Africa. Said, "Go away Hollywood, here comes Nollywood." And here is Steven Spielberg, one of the world's most respected filmmakers, saying he's never heard anything. That is what has been happening in the world. These guys know only about themselves and do not care about what happened to other people. And this is an industry that has grown in leaps and bounds. This is an industry that has taken away the another way almost 20-30% of their viewership.
Okay, let me cut you.
So as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with the Motola. It shouldn't be personalized. But my institution, an institution I'm part of, had produced
Okay, all right.
one of the world's most
All right,
influential
that's
persons,
okay, okay.
and that excites me.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine. We ride on that excitement, and we're very, very happy.
Yeah.
For it. Now, how is Nollywood going to ride on this international whatever you want?
Beautiful. I think this is the most intriguing question I've heard.
Okay, go on.
When every platform available to us, when every seasoned filmmaker from Nigeria gets any opportunity, or whatever it is that I'm saying here now, has the capacity to go around the entire world because of the availability of internet right now, we must. It's like major film festivals in the world. It's beyond the film. There are particular platforms. This year, I'm attending Toronto International Film Festival in my capacity as a director, as one of the directors in Fever TV in Canada. Now, I'm going there on a premium access card as a content acquirer for a television station.
Okay.
I have been getting mail. I've been shocked. The numbers of mail I've gotten. British films at the Toronto International Film Festival, they are listing their films. Russian films at the Toronto International Film Festival. You will not find that it's not an individualistic thing. It becomes a country zone entry into the film. The film into the film festival. The film probably were made by individuals. Like Invasion 1897 is a Lancelot Imasuen project. But as a country, when we begin to understand some of the political implications of these platforms, we don't know that every of such, if the African government were responsible enough, if the AU, the African Union, they know what they were doing, this is a platform they would have long hinged into since and fund it and give it the needed encouragement for us to begin to equate these guys globally. The internet is there. Like people that have seen the trailer of Invasion of the the first one that comes to mind that, hey, this was not made by Nigeria. This was not made by. I said, who told you we can't do it? I'm happy to let you know that outside two guys, the DOP and the sound man, because after all, that's what they've been complaining about. So okay, let's correct this. I went to Mumbai in India to get those guys to work on. Every other person that worked on the set were Nigerian. In fact, it's been edited right in my studio, and that trailer was caught by a boy of mine, Victor Hiamedu, and it meets every global standard.
Okay, so now
the African government, the Nigerian government, the African people that want their pride of place in the Committee of Nations should begin to key into projects like this, like the Nollywood project. It should become an African project that we finally have gotten a platform where we can now tell who we are by ourselves, present what we are by ourselves, and continually give us the big budget that is needed for us to equate, match up. I'll quote somebody in NTA when they saw this trailer. He said, my God, I thought we were pursuing Nollywood. Now, there's an opportunity for us to compete with Nollywood. We have the intellectual capacity, we have the intelligence, we have the creativity, and now that they can also block us from the technical access, we can do some of these things. Once the corporate organizations in Africa, in Nigeria, the big business mongoose here in the diaspora begin to understand that something has come up for us to use to retell our own story to the world. Because what has been lacking is the fact that there has not been any medium for Africans to relate their own story, their own part of the world.
Now
that
is going to bring me to my next question. One of the things that I personally like about you is that you do a lot of epic stuff, right? The Ajesua that you did some time ago. Now, let's assume that a studio in Hollywood comes to you and says, we want to work with you. What kind of product would you want to work with them with?
There's a whole lot.
Like?
We did Ajesua set in 1572 AD, 1752 AD. Now invasion 1897 was the British invasion of the Benin Empire, which is popularly referred to as the Benin Massacre. Now, for the first time, a Benin might say, okay, no, let's give our own side of the story.
Okay. Which is brilliant.
Was it actually a massacre or it was an invasion? That is left for the world to see. 2014, when the film is released, it's from our own perspective, and that's what you want to be. So there are several stories that talks about. We know the story in the Bible where Jesus Christ gave his life as a ransom for us all. There's an equal story like that in Benin, a true life story. Queen Ide, who gave her life so that her husband will live. This happened in my place. What greater love can this be? For a man to give it. These are the kind of stories I want to tell the world, that they also happen in our place.
Because in all fairness to you, those are, because they always say you cannot tell a story
better than the man who
experiences. Yeah. That's our show for today. I've had so much fun, and I'm sure you have too. We'll probably be doing this again sometime soon, next time on the show. It may be from Nollywood, it may be something different. So I'll give you one piece of advice. Next time on the Just Steve Show, stay with us to see what we'll be bringing to you. My name remains Evelyn Obaho. Take care. Bye-bye.
I'm Ambassador Lancelot Oduwa Imasuen. I stand for peace in the world. For me, in God's time, He maketh all things beautiful. That's why I don't stress. I just hope that in God's time, I just keep doing my thing. He makes all things beautiful. You know what? Don't stop. Just keep thinking positively.